here live and for you on YouTube. So we'll begin with a chant as we always do. Om Satoma Satgamaya Asoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness unto light, lead us from death to mortality. Om, peace. So welcome everybody, and if you were with us last weekend, we were talking about Sri Ramakrishna's birth and all the beautiful things that were associated with it, were his father's vision of Vishnu and his mother's vision of Shiva, and the birth of Sri Ramakrishna, and how he was this precocious little boy who never was afraid of anything, and but he also had he stole the hearts of everybody in the village. They were his little darling, but he also had really an otherworldly side of him always, where he would go into samadhi or trance, even when he was a young boy, triggered by many different things, either by spiritual emotion, when he was dressed up as Shiva in a play, or when he saw a flock of white birds going back, flying across the sky, set against a real black thunder cloud, and it was so beautiful and striking, he just went into samadhi, and it took him another day to get back to normal consciousness. So he definitely wasn't a normal boy in any stretch of the imagination. But I thought it would be really nice to continue and talk about his Lila, going from a small village in India to Kamarpukar, to Dakshineswar, where he became, basically his legend became alive. And I especially wanted to focus on how Dakshineswar became. And this whole setting it's such a beautiful divine play of the Lila of Sri Ramakrishna, that I really wanted to just read a little bit about, and this is from Ramakrishna and his disciples, from Christopher Sherwood. It's a really readable version of this kind of story, but this whole thing with Rani Rashmani and how the actual temple itself was created, and the energy and the story behind it is fascinating. And it really gives an indication of how Divine Mother sets up these Lila's divine play. So like this whole world is a divine play of Divine Mother, so they call it the Lila. So this is why we call it that, or it's called that. But I thought I would just start to read this a little bit. And I just love it too, because, Sri Ramakrishna, of course, is really known for his devotion to Kali Ma, Divine Mother. And Divine Mother was the beginning point of his sadhana and his first complete experience of the divine. And then, of course, he had an experience of the divine in all forms, and not no form. So he really was a superhuman being, a super person too, because not only did he experience and find God in one form and one pathway, but all of them. And so he really is the synthesis of all paths that lead to the divine. And it's really what the world needs to survive. It's this kind of idea and understanding. So it's really important. But the whole theme of feminine energy, of powerful Shakti, they call it Shakti, the divine female, feminine energy of creation, is really prominent all the way through. And I thought if I read how this kind of happened, you'll pick up on this. And some of you guys know the stories really well already. But if you really think about the ideal of such a strong feminine and powerful feminine energy and form, it's all through this temple, and how it was created and how it. So I'll read a little bit about this, and I think you guys will enjoy some of this. So Rani Rashmani, so that you guys know, was the founder of the temple, but she was very wealthy, because she was a widow, and her husband had left her a huge fortune, which she was very well able to manage. So, but she was also at the lowest caste in India, called Sudra. And so there's the four castes there's the Sudra, which is the I don't know how you want to call it, the labor class, is that would be best to say. Kshatriya, which is the, the Vyasha. That's the business class, the businessman's class, more or less. Then you have Kshatriyas, which are the divine warrior class or the ruler class kind of thing. And then you have Brahmins, which are the priests, the priestly castes. So Sudra last is the lowest of the castes, and it's a hereditary thing. So you're born into a caste. What your parents were, you can't change your caste. You can become rich, you can do all these things, but you can't change your caste. And so, Rani Rashmani was both a very wealthy woman and she was a Sudra. So she was in the low class. But she was a force of nature for sure. So, and her son-in-law was Mathur. He figures into this story very well and prominently. So her son-in-law helped her. He helped her run her business affairs and so on. So I'll read this story about Rani Rashmani, and it gives a little background on her power and what kind of woman she was, to say the least. And knowing that she was born at a time when all the odds were against her. Her caste, or the fact that she was a woman, and in the 1800s and in India, it's really, really a story here and how she conquered everything. So, but this gives it a little indication of Rani Rashmani and what kind of personality we're talking about here. So, on one occasion, it is related the British government imposed a tax on all fish caught in the Hooghly. Now, the British had taken over India at this time, so the Raj. So it was a colonized nation and under the rule of English. So they set the laws, the rules, they taxed, they did anything they wanted to do, plunder, take what they wanted from the Indian side of things. And they also imposed their own ideas of religion, Christianity on the Indian. And they also controlled education. It was really, an interesting situation to say the very least. So they imposed a tax on the fish caught in the Hooghly, the most important commercially of the mouths of the Ganges. Many of the fishermen who were impoverished by this tax lived on the Rani's land. Rani means princess or queen actually. Yeah. So this is her nickname. It wasn't her official name, but they called her Rani because she was the queen on the Rani's land. So they came and complained to her. The Rani told them not to worry and immediately went into action. For a large sum, she obtained a monopoly of the fishing rights. The British agreed to this arrangement, supposing that the Rani planned to open a fishery and thereby supply them with tax revenue without the difficulties of tax collection from a large number of fishermen, people. But no sooner had the Rani obtained the rights than she had chains hung across the river in several places, holding up shipping. When the British protested, remember they're running the government, they protested, she replied, "I bought these fishing rights from you at great expense. If I now let ships pass up and down the river, they will frighten the fish and I shall lose a lot of money. However, if you'll agree to abolish your new tax, I'm ready to give up my rights. If you don't, I shall sue you in courts and you'll have to pay me damages." The British had a good sense of humor. No, he said the British had a good sense to recognize with humor, one hopes, that they had met their match and the tax was abolished. Okay. Now you think about that. That's in the 1800s when a woman was not really respected very much in that society. And it was going up against the English who looked down at all Indians in any case. I mean, they were just thinking they were the stuff, right? And she was a Sudra. Wow. So how this came about is just amazing. But if you think about it, and when we get through the story a little bit more, it really is how this whole thing became possible. So we'll go further and you'll see what I mean. The Rani was an ardent devotee of the goddess Kali, which is Kali Ma. Now Kali, for you who don't know, she is the goddess of creation. She's everything. She's got 4 arms and she's got a terrible axe. 2 of the arms represent really kind of scary things. One's a severed head and the other one's a bloody sword. And the other one is holding up her hand of blessings and allaying fears. So she's the goddess of all of creation. So she's all energy. And energy has positive and negative, dark and light and all that. It's just part of the creation. You can't have creation without that. But she embodies everything. So she's not just one thing, she's everything. but she's also the sweet mother that takes her child in her lap too and comforts the child when there's these horrible things that happen. So we can approach her as mother as well. So this is the goddess Kali. And we won't go into it too long because there's a lot to read here. And in 1848, she decided to make a pilgrimage to Benares, which is regarded as the holiest city of all India. But on the night before her departure, she had a dream in which the goddess appeared to her and said, "There is no need for you to go to Benares. Build me a temple here in Calcutta on the Ganges bank and install my image in it. Arrange that I shall be worshipped there daily and offered food. I will manifest myself within that image and accept your worship." Such was the Rani's fate that she changed her plans immediately. She did not go to Benares. She purchased 20 acres of land from a Mr. Hasty, an attorney of the Calcutta Supreme Court, alongside the river of Dakshineswar, which is about 4 miles north of Calcutta. Here, with the assistance of her son-in-law, Mathur Mohan, she began to arrange for the building of a group of temples within a temple garden. This elaborate and costly undertaking was underway, but still far from being completed at the time of Gadadhar, which is Ramakrishna's original name when he was a boy, his arrival in Calcutta. Now, I'll just give you some real simple overview. So his brother Ramkumar, Sri Ramakrishna's brother, was Ramkumar, his older brother. When the father passed away, he left a small village that they were from. And here's Pranaji. So I'll answer it and I'll hand it to you guys and you can see. Jai Pranaji. Here's everybody. Here, you can pass it around. You can see.
There's Goddess Kali, the image. Yeah. And
you can, if you want to, Rini, you can show it in front of the camera too. If Gulu gets it. So we're blessed, by the way, for those in WhatsApp. So we just got a call from Kali Temple. We're talking about this becoming established, and this is the Kali Temple actually with Kali Ma showing us. You want to hear? Give it to me, and I'll show it to the people here on the video so we can see Ma. Thank you. And everybody, this is Ma at the Kali Temple. If you can see, sorry, it's hard to. So this is a side view from the side door into the Kali Temple of outside of Calcutta with Kali Ma, and there's a live darshan for all of you. So this makes it real a little bit. Here, you can watch the rest of it if you want until he hangs up, or you can give it around to whoever wants. So we'll continue with the story here. So now that Ma has blessed our talk. So Ramkumar was Sri Ramakrishna's brother, and after his father passed away when Sri Ramakrishna was a young boy, Ramkumar became the breadwinner. And as a Brahmin priest, Sri Ramakrishna's family was Brahmin, so they made their living by doing worship, and people would hire priests to do worship in their family because only a Brahmin can do worship with cooked food and full worship for even in your own home shrine. You have to have a Brahmin to do it. So they would make their living by doing that. Not a great living in general, but just enough to survive. So, but Ramkumar went to Calcutta and he opened up a toll, basically a Hindu school, a Sanskrit school, and taught Brahmin to all the Sanskrit and all of the tradition scriptures, the rituals, the rites, to how to perform them, and so on. And so this is what he was doing. His brother Gadadhar, which is Sri Ramakrishna before he became known as Sri Ramakrishna, came to Calcutta because that he wanted him to prepare him to make a living, to live in this world without his father and without his family, and be able to earn a living and perhaps get married and all that kind of stuff. So he brought Sri Ramakrishna as a boy to Calcutta, and he was working and helping him in the toll, in his stall, and they would do worship because he needed people to help the pujas and worship they were doing in the people's homes, and so they would give them money, and that's how they made their living. And Sri Ramakrishna, it was said, had become very popular because his heart was in it. He wasn't just doing this for money at all. He was doing this because he loved the worship. And so he'd stay overtime and talk to the family and sing songs and do all these things. And he became very beloved in that whole, everybody who knew Ramkumar. But something that was very interesting. So now you have Ramkumar in the same city. We've got him now into Calcutta with Sri Ramakrishna. So now here we go. So this is how this whole divine play was going on. So Rani Rashmani was a woman who was accustomed to act boldly upon impulse, without pausing to worry about possible difficulties. But now, as the temples of Dakshineswar approached completion, she had to face a problem which, in the first excitement of her undertaking, she chose to ignore. Remember the vision, and this is a lot of money she plowed into this. This is a huge sum of money. It couldn't even, today it would take a government to probably build that kind of temple. That of her own caste status. Like I said, she was a Sudra. As a Sudra, she was debarred from fulfilling what was now the ambition of her life, to offer cooked food daily to the image of her chosen deity in a temple which she herself had built, and to have holy men come and partake of the prasad. The rules of caste on this point were complex and strict. A Sudra, Vyasya, or Kshatriya might offer fruit or other uncooked food before a shrine, but only a Brahmin might offer cooked food, and only a Brahmin might cook food that was to be offered. Furthermore, no Brahmin might act as a priest or even partake of the prasad in a temple which belonged to a Sudra. To do these things was to become impure and lose caste. Thus, the Rani began to realize that all her money and effort had perhaps been spent in vain. Desperately, she sent out letters to pundits who were experts in the interpretation of the Shastras and scriptures which lay down the proper procedure for ritual worship. The answers she received gave her no hope. The pundits were all agreed. The Rani's wish, they said, could never be fulfilled. In due course, the Rani consulted Ramkumar, whose reputation as a pundit was considerable, and from him, at least, she got a more encouraging answer. Ramkumar agreed in principle with his colleagues, but made this suggestion: let the Rani make a formal gift of the temple property to a Brahmin. Let this Brahmin arrange for the installation of the image of Kali in the shrine and for the cooking of the food that is to be offered to her. Then other Brahmins will be able to partake of this temple without impurity. The Rani was delighted, and at once she followed Ramkumar's advice. She legally made over the temple property to her own guru and spiritual teacher, retaining only the right to act as his business representative in managing its affairs. The work of building was not yet even quite completed, but the Rani fixed the earliest auspicious date for the ceremony of installation of the image, of the Kali image. May 31st, 1855. Her eagerness was due partly to a dream in which the goddess Kali appeared to her and told her to hurry. Kali identified herself with her image, which was lying packed in a box ready for the ceremony. She told the Rani that she could not endure being shut up any longer. It is said that when the box was opened, the image itself was found to be covered with moisture, as though she had been perspiring. The other pundits the Rani had consulted disagreed, however, with Ramkumar's solution of the problem, finding it to be too liberal. In their view, the handing over the temple property to Rani's guru, in order that it might no longer be owned by a Sudra, was little better than a legal trick. It would not necessarily make the temple prasad acceptable to strict Brahmins. And in any case, a Brahmin priest who officiated for a Sudra and accepted the gifts due to a priest must be considered from an orthodox standpoint to have degraded himself. These opinions were not openly or positively expressed for fear of the Rani's displeasure, but they were whispered around, and as a result, the Rani found it hard to get any Brahmins to come to Dakshineswar. Her difficulties were largely solved by a Brahmin named Mahesh, who Mahesh, who was already employed by her estates. Mahesh was able to persuade his brother Kshatranath, who was a priest, to officiate at the temple of Radha in Krishna, one or two main temples within the Dakshineswar compound. As soon as it became known that Kshatranath had accepted this office, other Brahmins came forward who were willing to work as assistant priests or as cooks to prepare the food for the offerings. But the more important temple, the Temple of Kali, still required a priest, and the Rani wanted this priest to be truly devoted and learned, one who could be both worthy and able to perform the very sacred installation ceremony. Naturally, she thought of Ramkumar. She therefore sent Mahesh with a letter to him. Mahesh was a suitable go-between because his native village was not far from Kamarpukar, and he already knew Ramkumar quite well. Mahesh added his persuasions to the Rani's appeal, and Ramkumar agreed not only to officiate at the installation, but to stay on as a priest at the Kali temple until his successor could be found for him. The ceremony was duly held on the date the Rani had fixed. It was an occasion of extraordinary splendor and princely generosity. Many pandits had assembled, some of them having come from as far distant parts of India, and each was given a silk wearing cloth and a gold coin. The temples were lighted with innumerable lights, so that every corner was bright as day. The singing of religious songs continued throughout the night. Hundreds of people partook of the prasad. Gandagar was present, but did not partake prasad. Instead, he brought some puffed rice at the market and ate it before walking back to Jamapukar to sleep, where the toll was. The next day, he returned to Dakshineswar. Ramkumar urged him to stay, but he would not do so. He finally ended up staying, but it was kind of a battle. So this is kind of interesting if you think about it. So I wanted to kind of give this a little background, but think about this. So this whole divine play of Rani being a Shudra, and then having a real problem of having built this huge, beautiful temple and maybe not it being accepted by the priestly caste in India because of the strict rules of caste. And the fact that Ramkumar was the only one that could give the answer for that she would want. And because of that, Ramkumar became the priest in the Kali temple. And because of that, Sri Ramakrishna was a package deal, because you'll see as we go on through this, we'll talk about this through different Sundays, you'll see how he became the successor priest to Ramkumar for Kali. So this whole divine play was created, even the difficulties, even the problems with the priests were all part of the divine Lila to get Sri Ramakrishna, basically this whole temple that was created for him in any case, And something about this temple, it's such a perfect representation of Sri Ramakrishna and his mission, because as all the Indian devotees know, you generally have different temples for different images and different ideals of God. So you'd have a Shiva temple, you have a Kali temple, you'd have a Krishna temple, you'd have different ones. But in the Kali temple, you actually have many of them combined together in one place, and that's really unusual. So you have Kali temple as the center, you have a Radhakanta, you have Krishna and Radha temple inside of the compound, and you have Shiva temples along the side of the Ganges. So you had all of these things in one harmonious package, which in real life, a lot of times there was a little bit of conflict between Shaktas and Vaishnavas and different, even though they were all considered, the Westerners would call them Hindus, but they were really, in some cases, kind of conflicting against each other. And to have them all in one harmonious place like this is really, really unique and beautiful. The fact that it was the home of Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of harmony of religions, it just is it's so perfect. I mean, the whole thing is so perfect. And when you see what Rani Rashmani had to go through in order to be able to get to this place, and how Divine Mother really kind of incarnated herself in Rani, because she was so powerful and she was so clear. She had no hesitation and no doubts whatsoever. She knew exactly what she wanted to do, and she did it. So this is really divine power. The whole thing is just so beautiful that I really wanted to kind of share that with you guys, just so you could see it from what I saw in it. And of course, since we're all really profoundly devoted to the Kali Temple, the next Sunday we'll do a little more of Ramakrishna as he became integrated in the Kali Temple, so that you guys can know more about that story of the how he became the priest of the Kali Temple. And all. It's a beautiful story, and I want to give it time that it deserves, so I don't want to rush it. But I just thought we'd do that for now. So why don't we do this? Why don't we chant before I'll read something from the Katamrita that kind of gives the viewpoint of one of the monks. So we'll chant Jai Shri Durga, which is in the little books. And we'll do it to all of all of the forms of Divine Mother. So we'll start with Ma Kali, which is for obvious reasons. But we also will go through all of the different images of Ma that we have on our altar here. So we have, besides Ma Kali, which we'll chant to, we have Ma Durga. And Ma Durga is the god of, it's one Divine Mother, but she has different personalities, we'll put it that way. And Ma Durga is the goddess that protects us, the goddess of protection. So when we're needing protection, or if we're needing, some security or some kind of justice, Ma Durga is the one, and the lion with the sword. She kind of, you can see why she would be your protectrix. So yeah, you can't mess around with Ma Durga. So we'll chant to Ma Durga, and then Ma Lakshmi is the goddess of fortune or sustenance. She sustains us financially in all ways. So Ma Lakshmi is the form of Divine Mother that grants us these things that we need in our lives as well. And then Ma Saraswati, which is over here, she's the goddess of wisdom and the goddess of expression, of the arts, poetry, music. So whenever we want to chant, or if we want any wisdom, we always chant to Ma Saraswati. And then Sardama, which is our goddess of everything. They say she was Ma Kali herself. So we'll do the last part to her. So we'll in that one chant, we'll have we'll cover all Shakti, okay? All Mahashakti. So we got all the pieces covered. So we'll do that now. And sing along with me if you can. Saraswati, Saraswati, Namaha. Om Jai Ma Sharda, Namaha. Om Jai Ma Sharda, Namaha. Jai Ma Sharda, Jai Ma Sharda, Jai Ma Sharda, Namaha. Jai Ma Kali, Namaha. Jai Ma Kali, Namaha. Jai Ma Kali, Jai Ma Kali, Jai Ma Kali, Namaha. Okay. I thought I would read a little something by Swami Abhedananda. This is his book, Ramakrishna Kathamrita and Ramakrishna. So it's basically his take on the Kathamrita, which is the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. I got it when I was in India, and it's really, really sweet. So it's basically like the Gospel of Ramakrishna with some by Swami Nikhilananda, but it's just kind of more devotional and traditional in the way it's talked about. So I thought we'd use this one instead. So the chapter is Sri Ramakrishna and the Temple of Dakshineswar, where Ramakrishna lived. He writes, Bhagavan. So this is the Sri Ramakrishna, the epitaph of God, the personal God, the Lord. Sri Ramakrishna, Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. So if they say Bhagavan, it means Sri Ramakrishna. Lived for many years in Rani Rajmani's celebrated temple garden on the eastern bank of the Ganges in the village of Dakshineswar, about 4 miles north of Calcutta. This temple, with the garden attached, was dedicated by its foundress, Rani Rajmani, to the Divine Mother Kali. In the northwest corner of the spacious temple ground is a small room which faces on the west the water of the sacred river Ganges. This room, with its holy surroundings, was consecrated as the dwelling place for many years of Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna, whose divine presence made the spot holier and more sacred. It was from this retired corner that the rays of his divine glory, emanating from his God-intoxicated soul, dazzled the eyes of the seekers after truth and attracted them to him as a blazing fire attracts moths from all quarters. Hundreds of educated men and women were drawn towards the superhuman personality to listen with the deepest reverence to the words of wisdom uttered by one who had realized God and who lived in constant communion with the Divine Mother of the universe. And then this is Mahendra's visit to the temple. So this is Mahendranath Gupta, which is M, who wrote the Gospel of Ramakrishna. This is who he's talking about, his first visit to the temple. One Sunday in the month of March 1882, Mahendra, hearing from a friend about this divine man, was so deeply impressed that he came to the temple garden to pay him a respectful visit. It was the day of a special religious festival, and people had gathered in great numbers in Sri Ramakrishna's room on the veranda. The Bhagavan was seated on a raised platform, and on the floor around him were Kedar, Suresh, Rama, Manamohan, Bijoy, and many other devotees. They gazed up into his radiant face and drank the nectar of his living words of divine wisdom that fell from his hallowed lips. With a smiling face, Sri Ramakrishna was speaking to them of the power of the Lord's holy name and the true bhakti as the means of attaining God vision. Addressing Bijoy, he asked, "What do you say is the means of attaining God, Bijoy?" "Bhagavan, by the repetition of his holy name and this age, the holy name of the Lord has saving powers. The Bhagavan. Yes, the holy name has saving powers, but there must be earnest longing with it. Without earnest longing of the heart, no one can see God by mere repetition of his name. One may repeat his name, but if one's mind be attached to lust and wealth, that will not help much. When a man is bitten by a scorpion or a tarantula, mere repetition of a mantra will not do. A special remedy is necessary. Bijoy. If that be the case, Bhagavan, then how did Anjamila, who was the greatest of sinners and committed all sorts of crimes, obtain salvation by repeating the name of the Lord at that time of his death? Ramakrishna. Perhaps in his previous incarnations, Ajamila was righteous and performed a great many good deeds. Besides, it is said that he practiced asceticism later in his life. It may also be said that at the last moment of his life, the repetition of the holy name purified his heart, and thereafter he attained salvation. When an elephant is washed, immediately he throws dust and dirt over himself. But if he is kept in a clean stall after his bath, then he cannot cover himself with dirt. By the power of the holy name, a man may be purified, but he may at once more commit sinful acts because his mind is weak. He cannot promise that he will never sin again. The water of the Ganges may wash away past sins, but there is a saying that sins perch like birds on top of the trees. When a man comes out after a dip in the Ganges and stands under a tree, the sins drop over his shoulders and seize upon him. These old sins ride him, as it were. Therefore, repeat the holy name of the Lord, but at the same time pray to him, that you may have true love and devotion for him, that your love for wealth, fame, and pleasures of the body may decrease, because they are transitory, and they last only until tomorrow. Then it goes on. When there is true devotion and love, one can reach God by any of the sectarian religions. The Vaishnavas, the worshippers of Krishna, will attain God in the same way as the Shaktas, the worshippers of the Divine Mother, or the followers of Vedanta. Those who belong to the Brahmo Samaj, the Mohammedans, and the Christians will also realize God through their respective religions. If you follow any of these paths with intense devotion, you will reach him. If there be any mistake on the chosen path, he will correct the mistake in the long run. The man who wishes to see Jagannath may go towards the south instead of towards the north, but one will sooner or later direct him to the right way, and he will surely visit Jagannath in the end. The one thing necessary for realization is wholehearted and whole-souled devotion for God. Vaishnavas, Mohammedans, Christians, and Hindus are all longing for the same God, but they do not know that he who is Krishna is also Shiva, Divine Mother, Christ, and Allah. God is one, but he has many names. The substance is one, but is worshipped under different names according to the place, time, and nationality of his worshippers. All the different scriptures of the world speak of the same God. He who is described in the Vedas as the absolute existence with intelligence and bliss, or Brahman, is also described in the Tantras as Shiva, Puranas is Krishna, in the Quran is Allah, and in the Bible is Christ. Yet the various sects quarrel with one another. The worshippers of Krishna, for instance, say that nothing can be achieved without worshiping Krishna. Those who are devoted to the Divine Mother think that the worship of the Divine Mother is the only way to salvation. Similarly, the Christians say that no one can reach heaven except through Christ. He is the only way, and Christianity is the only religion. All other religions are false, is what they say. This is narrow-mindedness. My religion is true, while that of the others is false. This kind of belief is not right. It is not our business to correct the errors of other religions. He who has created the world will correct them in time. Our duty is to some way or other to realize him. God can be reached through many paths. Each of these sectarian religions points out a path that ultimately leads to divinity. Yes, all religions are paths, but the paths are not God. I have seen all sects and all paths. I do not care for them anymore. People belonging to these sects quarrel with one another and against each other. After trying all religions, I have realized that God is the whole and I am his part, that he is the Lord and I am his servant. And again, he is I and I am he. People dispute amongst themselves, saying God is personal with form. He cannot be impersonal and formless, like the Vaishnavas, who find fault with those who worship the impersonal Brahman. When realization comes, then all these questions are settled. He who has seen God can tell exactly what he is like. As Kabir said, God is with form is my mother. God without form is my father. Whom shall I blame? Whom shall I praise? The balance is even. Praise. The balance is even. He is with form, yet he is formless. He is personal, yet he is impersonal. And who can say what other aspects he might have? 4 blind men went to see an elephant. One touched the leg of the elephant and said, the elephant is like a pillar. The second touched the trunk and said, the elephant is like a thick club. The third touched the belly and said, the elephant is like a huge jar. The fourth touched the ears and said, the elephant is like a big winnowing basket. Then they began to dispute amongst themselves as to the figure of the elephant. A passerby, seeing them thus quarreling, asked them what it was about. They told him everything and begged him to settle the dispute. The man said, none of you have seen the elephant. The elephant is not like a pillar. Its legs are like pillars. It's not like a big jar of water. Its belly is like a water jar. It is not like a winnowing basket. Its ears are like winnowing baskets. It is not like a stout club. Its trunk is like a club. The elephant is like the combination of all of these. In the same manner do these sectarians quarrel, who have seen only one aspect of the deity. He alone, who has seen God in all his aspects, can settle all disputes. It's very, very beautiful. There's one more parable he gave, and we'll end with that. Again, 2 persons were hotly disputing as to the color of a chameleon. One said, the chameleon on that palm tree is a red color. The other contradicting him, saying, you are mistaken. The chameleon is not red, but blue. Not being able to settle the matter by argument, both went to the under the tree and had watched the chameleon in all its phases of color. Is not the chameleon on that tree red? The person replied, the other disputant said, why? It is not red, it's blue. The person again humbly replied, yes, sir. The person knew that the chameleon is an animal which constantly changes its color. Thus it was that he said yes to both the conflicting statements. The Sat Chidananda, or the absolute existence, intelligence, and bliss, likewise has many forms. The devotee who has not seen God in one aspect only, knows him in that aspect alone. But he who has seen him in all manifold aspects is alone in a position to say with authority, all these forms of God are one God, and God is multiform. All these forms are of one God, and God is multiform. He is formless and with form, and many are his forms, and many are his forms, which no one knows. This is basically the essence of the message of Sri Ramakrishna, said by his disciple Abhinanda. What's so beautiful about this is that he was there. He was a direct disciple, and so when he talked and how his essence was, it's describing what he actually experienced himself. That book, as does M in the Kantamrita Gospel. So that's kind of what we wanted to just kind of express, was the amazing plan that was set forth divinely through a vision of Rani Rashmani to initiate the Kali Temple, the birth of Sri Ramakrishna before that, which we talked about last week. This whole thing of how the Kali Temple was created and the conflicts that it caused that actually drew in Sri Ramakrishna to the Kali Temple. All this was all laid out beforehand, and it was just executed by all of the devotees. And it's so beautiful. It's like a big puzzle that just fits together so perfectly. Knowing that it was all put together so that all the aspects of the divine can be in one harmonious whole as a template for the future of our world. Because right now, obviously, we haven't made it yet. We're still bombing each other and things about such horrible things going on in the world. And there's been such horrible things through history. But this is really the template for the future. It is an ascending cycle now in world history. There's going to be some conflicts to get there, but we are in that ascending cycle, going more and more towards that unity. And there's always a rascal in the mix, as Sri Ramakrishna said, to make things interesting. But so this is quite sweet. So I want to just different phases. He wouldn't be infinite things. He would be just one-sided. You know, what's so beautiful is nobody's wrong. They're all complaining about they have this idea of God or that idea of God, and they just think anything else is impossible. That's limiting God. All these sectarians are just limiting God. It's all part of this plan. Even the rascals, the people that were saying to Rashmani, no, you can't have your temple. That was part of Divine Mother too. She planted all that. She decided it all to create the effect of bringing in Ramkar, because he was the only one that could answer that question. And that's a time when there was much narrow-mindedness, when he was the only real liberal thinker. All that was planned. Even those who are rascals and either those who create negativity are two instruments created by Divine Mother to create that part. And it's really hard to imagine that. I have a hard time with it a lot. But recently it's been coming more and more to me that I have to see things that way. And it really helps a lot when I just see that this is all put into place. If there is something really crazy and horrible that I don't understand at that moment, just realize it's Divine Mother's play, and that she will use that somehow to create something out of it. And it might be, only in hindsight. And a lot of us, we're little ants experiencing this minute when we're talking about thousands of years of things that happen in Divine Mother's play. So, surrendering and just saying, okay, Jaima, victory to Mother. That's all we can do. But I love this idea of this unity of all of these in combination, Satchidananda, which is the existence, consciousness, and bliss. And it's the unity of all conceptions and all expressions of the divine. And so what I thought we'd do is we can chant Hymn to Brahma, which is beautiful, and it's in the book there. So this is a chant that is done in India, the temple chant that talks about the ideal, and we're going to chant a little bit in Sanskrit. We'll go one or two times through in Sanskrit, and then the translation. And the translation of this is full of bliss, giving joy transcendent, of higher knowledge, the abode. Dual no more, clear as the heavens, known to all as thou art that. He is pure, permanent, unmoving, the everlasting seer of all, far, far beyond qualities and thought. Guru Lord, I bow to thee. It's such a beautiful, beautiful chant. And what's amazing about this chant is that if you can do it in two ways. You can use it as a recognition and worship of the divinity, that whatever divinity you worship or you honor in your heart as guru or as teacher, you can use this to identify why they are divine and honor it in them. It's also possible that you can see or experience yourself in these terms, your own awareness, your own consciousness as full of bliss, giving joy transcendent, of higher knowledge, the abode, dual no more, clear as the heavens, known to all as thou art that. That can be your own realization, your own reality. He is pure, permanent, unmoving, the everlasting seer of all. We can be that seer, far, far beyond qualities and thought. So that can be an affirmation and an experience our own self too. So it's a beautiful song that can be experienced in different ways depending on what works for us or you. So we'll do Hymn to Brahma, and then we'll do Ramakrishna Shabad and we'll finish it. And we'll start in Sanskrit. Brahmanandam Parama Shubhidam Kevalam Jnanamurti Vandvatikam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamashadila Ekam Nityam Vimalam Achalam Sarvadi Sashi Bhutam Brahma Ekam Trigunamayikam Sagurutam Namami Sagurutam Namami full of bliss, giving joy transcendent of higher knowledge, be upon to will no more, clear as the heavens, known to all as the water. He is pure, permanent, unmoving, the everlasting seer of all, are far beyond qualities and form. Guru Lord, I bow to thee. Guru Lord, I bow to thee. Full of bliss, giving joy transcendent of higher knowledge, be upon to will no more, clear as the heavens, known to all as the water. He is pure, permanent, unmoving, the everlasting seer of all, far beyond qualities and bound. Guru Lord, and I bow to thee. Guru Lord, I bow to thee. Om Namah Shivaya. Okay, and then we'll just finish with singing Ramakrishna Sharada, since we've been talking about Sri Ramakrishna. Did you want to pass out the instruments? Nina, did you want to give them? You can play the cymbals or the. You can keep time. You can keep time on something. It's fun. If anybody wants to, they can. Ramakrishna Sharanam, Ramakrishna Sharanam, Ramakrishna Sharanam, Sharanye Prabhu. Ramakrishna Sharanam, Ramakrishna Sharanam, Ramakrishna Sharanam, Sharanye. Kripahi Kevalam, Kripahi Kevalam, Kripahi Kevalam, Sharanye. Kripahi Kevalam, Kripahi Kevalam, Kripahi Kevalam, Sharanam. Jai Jai Ramakrishna Sharanam, Ramakrishna Sharanam, Ramakrishna Sharanam, Sharanye Prabhu. Ramakrishna Sharanam, Ramakrishna Sharanam, Ramakrishna Sharanam, Sharanye. Sharanagatuham, 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 Bhave. Sharanagatuham, 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 Bhave. Jai Jai Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharanye Prabhu. Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ramakrishna Sharanam, Sharanye. Namo Sri Gurave, Namo Sri Gurave, Namo Sri Gurave, Namo Namo. Namo Sri Gurave, Namo Sri Gurave, Namo Sri Gurave, Namo Namo. Jai Jai Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ramakrishna Sharanam, Ramakrishna Sharanam, Sharanye Prabhu. Ramakrishna Krishna Jaya Jaya Ram Krishna Krishna Jaya Jaya Ram Krishna 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 Jaya Jaya Ram Krishna Jaya Jaya Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Charanye Prabhu Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Charanye Kripahi Kevalam Kripahi Kevalam Kripahi Kevalam Charanye Kripahi Kevalam Kripahi Kevalam Kripahi Kevalam Charanye Jai Jai Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Charanye Prabhu Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Charanye Getuham Sharanam Mate Sharanam Mate Jai Jai Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Charanye Prabhu Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Charanye Namo Sri Gurave Namo Sri Gurave Namo Sri Gurave Namo 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 Sri Gurave Namo Gurave Namo Sri Gurave Namo Namo Jai Jai Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Charanye Prabhu Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Charanye Ram Krishna Jaya Jaya Ram Krishna Jaya Ram Krishna Jaya 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 Jaya Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Thank you all for coming. Is there anything you guys wanted to say or ask or anything I'm forgetting or questions, comments? So again, this Wednesday we have Swami Mavidyanandaji coming. So we invite everybody to come, please, and join us in welcoming Swamiji back to Las Vegas. He'll start RT at 6 p.m. and do that, and then 7 p.m. he'll start his talk. So this will be giving some people.
And that's on YouTube too?
Yeah. Yeah, everything's on our YouTube channel. Yeah, which we'll send out
Maybe
links.
you can text me the link to the YouTube.
Yeah, it's on the emails, but yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so by the way, for you guys at home, obviously you know that these are, but everybody else, all the links, there's a blue link on all of the emails that have and the recordings are there too, by the way. Once these are done, the recording stays forever on our YouTube channel and our Vedanta Society site. So you can see all of the Swamis who have visited, all of their talks are there, and all of my talks for all these years. There'll be 5 years, I guess, coming up. It's amazing.
Wow.
It's such an honor to be here, really. I'm so grateful every day that I get a chance to be here and do whatever they want me to do. So
Thank you. It's very positive.
thank you all. Thank you all. And thank you for being at home and watching us. Thank you so much. Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma.